Have you ever looked at a swirling, vine-like iron gate, a lamp that looks like a drooping flower, or a poster with elegant, flowing lines and felt like you've stepped into a fairy tale? If so, you've probably encountered Art Nouveau, the new art that swept across Europe and America at the turn of the 20th century. It was more than just a style, it was a revolution, a rebellion against the rigid, historical styles that dominated the 19th century. Today, we're diving into the beautiful, fleeting story of Art Nouveau, where it came from, what it stood for, and why it vanished almost as quickly as it appeared. So picture this. It's the late 1800s. The Industrial Revolution is in full swing. Cities are growing, factories are churning out mass-produced goods, and art and design are feeling a bit stuffy. Architects are still building in Gothic or neoclassical styles, and furniture looks like something from a king's palace centuries ago. A group of young artists and designers looked at this and thought, we can do better. We need a style for our time, a modern style. They were tired of copying the past. They wanted to create something original, something inspired by the world around them, especially nature. This desire for a new aesthetic wasn't just about making pretty things. It was a philosophical movement. They believed art should be a part of everyday life. Why should beautiful things only be in museums? They wanted your home, your furniture, the posters on the street, and even the entrance to your subway station to be a work of art. This idea was called Gesamtkunstwerk, a German term meaning a total work of art. The goal was to unify architecture, interior design, and decorative arts into one harmonious whole. The name Art Nouveau itself comes from a gallery in Paris, the Maison de l'Art Nouveau, opened in 1895 by Siegfried Bing. He showcased works by artists who were breaking the old rules, but the style had different names in different countries. In Germany, it was Jugendstil, meaning youth style. In Austria, it was the secession style, as artists seceded from the traditional academies. In Spain, it was modernism, and in Italy, style liberty, after the London department store Liberty & Comas that sold modern designs. So what did Art Nouveau actually look like? The most iconic feature is the whiplash line, a dynamic, flowing, S-shaped curve that seems to be in constant motion. Think of a twisting vine, a flowing river, or long waving hair. Nature was the ultimate muse. Artists drew inspiration from flowers like lilies and orchids, insects like dragonflies and butterflies, and birds like peacocks and swans. They didn't just copy nature, they stylized it, turning organic forms into elegant, decorative patterns. This love for nature was also a reaction against the cold, mechanical nature of industrial production. Art Nouveau celebrated craftsmanship. Artists worked with glass, iron, ceramic, and wood, often combining materials in new and exciting ways. Think of the stunning glass lamps by Louis Comfort Tiffany, where pieces of colored glass form intricate dragonfly wings or floral shades, or the incredible ironwork of Hector Guimard, who designed the famous Paris metro entrances that look like giant, fantastical plants growing out of the pavement. In architecture, Victor Horta in Brussels was a true pioneer. His buildings, like the Hotel Tassel, were revolutionary. Gone were the straight lines and rigid symmetry. Instead, floors flowed into walls, staircases curved like living things, and iron columns branched out like trees. Every detail, from the door handles to the stained glass windows, was designed as part of this organic whole. In Barcelona, Antoni Gaudí took this idea to another level with his Modernisme buildings. Structures like the Casa Batlló look like they were sculpted from bone and covered in glittering scales, while his masterpiece, the Sagrada Familia, is a forest of stone, reaching towards the heavens. The movement also conquered the world of graphic arts. The invention of color lithography made it possible to mass-produce beautiful, colorful posters. Artists like Alphonse Mucha became superstars. His posters, often advertising everything from cigarette papers to theatrical performances, featured beautiful women with flowing hair, surrounded by intricate floral motifs and elegant typography. These weren't just ads, they were art for the masses, bringing beauty to the city streets. In Vienna, Gustav Klimt, a leading figure of the secession movement, combined gold leaf, intricate patterns, and sensual figures in his paintings, like The Kiss, creating works that are both decorative and deeply emotional. Art Nouveau was truly international, but it was also incredibly diverse. French Art Nouveau was often delicate and graceful. Belgian Art Nouveau was more structural and powerful. German Jugendstil could be more abstract and geometric, while Scottish design, led by Charles Rennie Mackintosh, favored a more restrained, linear, and elongated style. Despite these regional differences, they all shared that core belief: to break from the past and create a modern art for the modern world. They were visionaries, creating a bridge from the 19th century to the 20th. But for a movement that exploded with such energy and creativity, its decline was surprisingly swift. By around 1910, Art Nouveau was already falling out of fashion. Why? Well, for a few reasons. First, its emphasis on high-quality materials and bespoke craftsmanship made it very expensive. That dream of art for everyone was hard to achieve when a single, custom-designed chair could cost a fortune. It became a style for the wealthy elite, which contradicted its own democratic ideals. Second, the very thing that made it unique, its elaborate, organic decoration, started to feel excessive to a new generation. Tastes were changing. People began to crave simplicity, functionality, and clean lines. The swirling, decorative forms of Art Nouveau started to look fussy and outdated. In a way, the style became a victim of its own success. Its sinuous lines were so distinctive that they were easily copied and mass-produced in cheaper, lower-quality versions, which diluted the style and made it feel common. The final nail in the coffin was the looming shadow of World War I. The optimism and joyful exuberance of the Belle Époque, the beautiful era that had nurtured Art Nouveau, was about to be shattered. The war demanded austerity, practicality, and industrial efficiency. A new aesthetic was emerging, one that would become Art Deco in the 20s and modernism later on. These new styles celebrated the machine, geometry, and rational order, the very opposite of Art Nouveau's handcrafted natural fantasy. And so, the beautiful dream of Art Nouveau faded away. Its flowing lines and organic forms were replaced by the sharp angles and streamlined shapes of the machine age. For decades, it was largely dismissed as a decorative fad, a strange, indulgent blip in the history of design. But its story doesn't end there. In the 1960s, a new generation rediscovered Art Nouveau, the psychedelic art of the era, with its swirling patterns and vibrant colors, drew direct inspiration from the posters of Musha and the designs of the past. People began to appreciate its creativity, its craftsmanship, and its bold attempt to integrate art into every corner of life. Museums started holding major exhibitions, and buildings that were once threatened with demolition were recognized as architectural treasures and preserved. Today, Art Nouveau is beloved. We see its influence everywhere, from jewelry design to fantasy art. Those Paris metro stations are iconic symbols of the city. Gaudi's buildings in Barcelona attract millions of visitors every year. We recognize that Art Nouveau wasn't just a fleeting trend. It was the first truly modern international style, a brave and beautiful attempt to forge a new visual language for a new century. It may have been short-lived, but it left behind a legacy of breathtaking beauty, reminding us that art can be found anywhere, and that even a subway entrance can be a gateway to a world of imagination. Thank you so much for watching. What's your favorite piece of Art Nouveau design? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into art history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.